there actually. For the fool, if you're foolish, everything's trouble in this Kali Yuga. But for the enlightened person, no troubles, no worries. Aviram, you want to stay there next to Parth? You're happy there? Yeah, you look happy there. Okay. Yeah, you're a happy man. So, okay. So before we begin, let's do our Mangal Charana. Madhav, you can maybe, share this screen. Yeah, we'll do it like this. I already shared. So, ready?
Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Andeham Shri Guru Shita Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupa Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sujivam Sarvetam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Paramami Hare Priye Machakalpa Tubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Pristaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Ti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastita Deshatarine.
Spiritual masters bless us. We have our Diksha spiritual master, Shamakrishi, is coming this Wednesday. It's exciting. So we'll be able to render service and hear his realizations and take his blessings. Hopefully we can act nicely so that he's feeling like giving blessings rather than feeling disappointed with us. So that's an important element here. So, where are we? We are in the Bhagavatam. Maharaj Parikshit was compared to a bee in the last Bhagavatam class because he takes the essence of existence. He knew perfectly well in this age of Kali, auspicious things produce good effects immediately, whereas inauspicious acts must be actually performed to render effect. So he's never envious of the personality of Kali. So he wasn't. He knew that by giving Kali a place, that it wouldn't just destroy the world. Even though the world is ultimately fallen into Kali's grasp, he knew that that's only the case if people actually act on what Kali's influence is. So, we might get all kinds of thoughts in the mind on how to engage in Kali Yuga activities. We might think of, sex, intoxication, violence, anger, criticism, all these things. But if we hold it in, it won't produce a bad effect in Kali Yuga. But if we let it out and act upon it, then the karma will come. In other ages, even if you had a bad thought, you would get punished. You would actually get you would get chastisement from the Lord. But in Kali Yuga, because everything is so disturbing, if you keep it in the mind and you don't act on it, it will be okay. So this is so Maharaj Parikshit, he knew this, and he knew that by giving Kali a place, it would allow him to be merciful to Kali, who begged for his mercy, and then it also would allow for the people in general to have an opportunity to. You still have the right opportunity to do the right thing. Everyone has an opportunity to do good things. No one has, no opportunity. It's, oh man, Kali Yuga is just too much for me. I can't do it. No, you had a choice in the matter. The whole way you had a choice. You could have chose the path of Kali, the Maya's whirlpool. You could have chose to, act on those things, or you could choose to act on the Lord's advice. And I mean, many people, they almost seems like they don't have a choice. People who don't have much knowledge of the Lord or haven't had much intervention in their life of God, it almost seems like they're acting without a choice. They don't know anything else. But most of us are given some choice in life. God is, the Christians have done a really good job at, indoctrinating godly values and teachings into as much people as they can. So this is our predicament, but we don't. It's not a predicament, because for the fool you get the troubles of making your bad choices, but for the wise, everything's okay actually, because you choose to do that which is pleasing to the Lord, and everything will be good. But if we act foolish, then you're gonna get so many troubles. But anyhow, in Maharaj Parikshit's kingdom, there was no foolish people. Foolishness wasn't allowed. It wasn't permitted by him as a leader. And so it wasn't tolerated. So in our age, now we're run by fools. Practically everybody is a fool. And us ourselves are hoping that we can not be foolish. But we are also, the tendency towards being a fool is so strong. But if we take proper guidance and we follow under this guidance, the guidance of our acharyas, the guidance of their representatives via sadhus and Vaishnavas, then we don't do foolish things, and we can be saved from the troubles and miseries of this world. So Maharaj Parikshit, he gave Kali the opportunity, and it was Krishna's arrangement. Krishna arranged that it was the dharma of Maharaj Parikshit to give Kali mercy. Just like Krishna arranged, I was listening to a lecture on Ekadashi not that long ago, and one of the persons listening to the lecture was so offended that Krishna would let the personality of sin come into grains and beans. And he said, how could it be that somebody who kills children, like we see Abhiran, how could it be that somebody who kills children could get the same effect as someone who eats grains and beans on Ekadashi? We don't even think about, how, and it was a good question. Wow, how could Krishna do like this? And the story goes is that because the Papa Purush also begged for a place, in this world. Sin also needs a place. So on this Ekadashi day, it's like a very, you could say, inauspicious day for most of the world, because sin has a wild run. Most people are consuming sin anyway by eating meat and fish and consuming murder and things like that. But especially so where an extra batch of sin is coming, because the Papa Purush is given also legion over the grains and the beans, any heavier foods like this. And so this also will line up with the full moon and new moon cycles. Very energetically powerful times, very energetically turbulent times for the mind, because the mind is controlled by the moon. This is an astrological principle. But the deity of the mind is Chandra, the moon. So it's very wise on this Ekadashi to fast, to purify the mind, so that when the mind does come around in 3 days' time to the full moon, and all of the body's energy it's using, because the body uses, it's a science, but the body uses energy from 3 days prior that it's consumed. So your body is using energy that you ate and digested 3 days earlier and metabolized. So when you do the Ekadashi, by the time it comes for the full moon and the new moon, very energetic, turbulent times, you can be in a transcendental platform. So this is very, but this devotee was so offended that Krishna would give. And actually it is a good question. How could, some murderer of children, some really evil person, how could that same effect come also via eating grains? And this is the effect of Ekadashi. But it's Krishna's mercy on Ekadashi, and also it's our own punishment for being in this material world. If we are in this material world averse to God, but still trying to enjoy by being sattvic, so maybe we eat only vegetarian foods, and maybe we do so many things. But still, sins are going to come to us if we don't devote ourselves to the Lord. So the Lord gives full knowledge of Ekadashi for those who are in tune with His desires. And so the devotees, they avoid. They don't take in the effects of sin. They don't associate with Papa Purush in the form of grains and beans, and they fast on this day. But the people who are also the so-called sattvic people who are trying to be better people in this world, if they haven't cultivated devotion to the Lord still has a plan that they'll get sinful reactions, and Ekadashi is the plan. And so, somebody who kills children and things, they also probably eat grains on Ekadashi, so they get it even worse. But still, the effects of all of the world's sins come actually on one who is not following Ekadashi. So it's a very unfortunate day, but fortunate for the devotees. For the devotees, we can get so many spiritual blessings, so many things I've seen in my life. Like I met my wife on an Ekadashi. So many miraculous things have happened. I also got arrested on Ekadashi. It was Krishna's great chastisement and punishment to me. All of my wife's and I's first dates were all on Ekadashi. We would fast together and follow the principles of Ekadashi. Don't ask me how that was Krishna's arrangement, but that was somehow what she was interested in. Because when I met her, I was fasting for Ekadashi, and I apologized that I couldn't teach the yoga class with as much strength and energy as I normally would. But she didn't mind, and she was actually more intrigued by the Ekadashi fasting than she was by the actual yoga class. And so we started doing the fast together, and those were our first dates actually. So many auspicious things take place on Ekadashi for the devotees, but we just have to ourselves make sure that we are following nicely the Ekadashi program. So today's the program. Hearing Bhagavatam is the program. So let's actually do it. King Nu Baleshu Shorena Kalina Dira Biduna Apramata Pramateshu Yovrikonishu Vartate Kim, what, Nu, maybe, Baleshu, among the less intelligent persons, Shurena, by the powerful, Kalina, by the personality of Kali, Dira, self-controlled, Biruna, by one who is afraid of, Apramata, one who is careful, Pramateshu, among the careless, Yaha, one who, Vrika, tiger, Nishu, among men, Vartate exists. Maharaj Pariksha considered that less intelligent men might find the personality of Kali to be very powerful, but that those who are self-controlled would have nothing to fear. The king was powerful like a tiger and took care for the foolish, careless persons. Purport. Those who are not devotees of the Lord are careless and unintelligent. Unless one is thoroughly intelligent, one cannot be a devotee of the Lord. Those who are not devotees of the Lord fall prey to the actions of Kali. So this is important. It will not be possible to bring about a saner condition in society unless we are prepared to accept the modes of action adopted by Maharaj Parikshit. For example, the propagation of the devotional service of the Lord to the common man. So, actually you've reached this point of devotion due to your intelligence, actually. Due to having, and this is, the intelligence is actually said to be the sarvasva. It's the greatest wealth. It's all of our wealth, actually, is our intelligence. If we lose our intelligence, we lose everything. And actually, do you know there's one thing that's mentioned by Raghunath Das Goswami that completely steals away one's intelligence? Do you know what it is? No. It's asadvarta vesha visrija mati sarvasva harani. So what that means Asadvarta, talks of the mundane. So prajalpa. Prajalpa actually is the thing that steals one's intelligence the most. Prajalpa is mundane talks of things that of the dualism of this world. It could be, business. It could be sports. It can be all of these mundane things. And if you get too absorbed in talking about these things, it'll actually steal your intelligence from the ultimate conclusion, with the sat conclusion, satyam param dhimahi, to meditate on the absolute truth. And that's Krishna, and that's God. And it takes a devotee to have such sufficient intelligence where this is what they meditate and focus on. They realize the reality of God. They realize the unification, the oneness of God, and how there's really no other purpose in life other than trying to reestablish the relationship with God. And this is the highest level of intelligence. So Maharaj Parikshit, he has this intelligence, but most people do not have this intelligence. In his age, many people did have the intelligence, but in our age, barely anyone has this intelligence. So what does he? What did he do? So the king was powerful like a tiger and took care for the foolish, careless persons. So the king, in his administration, he was understanding that Kali would have some influence for the fools in his society. So he himself, he ruled properly. And us ourselves too, as we try to do good for the world, and what's the ultimate good? Share the absolute truth with the people of the world. We should take care for the foolish, careless persons who aren't so intelligent and do like silly things. So we should always try to encourage them towards devotional activities. We should always try to encourage them. Hey, don't, like I tried to encourage our friend not to, put as much emphasis on work today and give a little time to spiritual life. But not everyone has to also taste the fruits of their actions. So for whatever reason, good advice isn't always heeded by the less intelligent persons of the world. And so they learn by experience. That's how the intelligent person, they take good advice from Krishna, sadhus, Vaishnavas, Shastras of Krishna. The more intelligent person, they study the activities of others, who gets good results, who gets bad results. Oh, the devotees are getting good result over there. Oh, look, non-devotees are getting very bad results. So they see, but the least intelligent, they don't even look and they don't even hear. So then they just have to experience. They don't look around, they don't observe, and they definitely can't hear, and not even observing. So no chance of hearing. So they just have to experience themselves. Oh my gosh, this happened! I can't believe it. Yes, what do you expect? So, now let's keep reading. So we should try to be wise, because the wise have nothing to fear. You don't have to fear the effects of Kali. But the foolish, they have everything to fear, because Kali's temptations, or you could say in the Bible, the devil's temptations will always, have you going towards lust and foolish activities. But the wise, they're fixed in Krishna consciousness, they know what Krishna wants, they know what sadhus want, they know what the Vaishnavas want, then they just do the intelligent things, they follow the instructions. And so then they have nothing to fear. But the rest of us, we have plenty to fear, because we don't take this good advice. I know I'm working on taking this good advice. Upavarnita me tadva punyang parikshitang maya vasudeva katopetam akyanang yada prichata. Upavarnitam, almost everything described. Etat, all these. Vaha, unto you. Punyam, pious. Parikshitam, about Maharaj Parikshit. Maya, by me. Vasudeva, of Lord Krishna. Katha, narrations. Upetam, in connection with. Akyanam, statements. Yat, what? Aprichata, you asked from me. Translation of sages. As you did ask me, now I have described almost everything regarding the narrations about Lord Krishna in connection with the history of the pious Maharaj Parikshit. Srimad Bhagavatam, purport. Srimad Bhagavatam is the history of the activities of the Lord, and the activities of the Lord are performed in relation with the devotees of the Lord. Therefore, the history of the devotees is not different from the history of Lord Krishna's activities. A devotee of the Lord regards both the activities of the Lord and those of his pure devotees on an equal level, for they are all transcendental. So it's actually good we hear the experiences of the devotees, and that's why the sages, they asked Sutta Goswami. They asked him, well, how did, what are the activities of Maharaj Parikshit? He's the great devotee of the Lord. We should want to hear. That's why many devotees read the Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita. Because the activities of Srila Prabhupada, the activities of pure saintly personalities, they're always connected, they're always saturated with faith and devotion to the Lord, so you actually indirectly, actually maybe even more directly, get to experience the Lord, and you can see. I mean, there's a principle that's favorable to bhakti, and it's one of the limbs of surrender, part of anukulyasya sankalpe. And what is that? It's called sato vrite, following in the footsteps of the acharyas, taking the vows and the vrats of the acharyas. What did the acharyas do? I should do like that, and then we should adjust our life accordingly. Like even in grahastha life, there's many examples of our acharyas renouncing grahastha life, family life, because family life to be unfavorable. But there's also some examples like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and Advaita Acharya and many of the associates of Lord Chaitanya, who honorably lived in grahastha life and designed their life in such a way where the main thing is the main thing. It's Krishna consciousness. That's what we're doing here at the ashram. We're all in grahastha life to some degree or another. Madhav has maybe one only has the opportunity to maybe not get entangled in grahastha life, but Parth, you're already finished. You've had a girlfriend now of many years, and you also have had this commitment of a career of many years and gotten yourself in all kinds of debt. And that really there's no good, easy way out unless you just renounce everything altogether, which is a very large step that I don't think would be recommended by many sadhus for you. So grahastha life is there. Madhav, you have maybe the opportunity, if you wanted to live a more, brahmachari type of life, but also you have it's been proven, you have very strong inclination towards grahastha life. So no problem. We can see the example of Vaishnavas. Guru Maharaj is a great grahastha example of Vaishnava. That's why I was very attracted to him. He gave really practical guidance for me also, who got entangled in grahastha duties quite early. And then also we have our Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who's such an example. But we have Srila Prabhupada, who also, if you study his many years before he took renunciation, he very intensely tried to involve his family and his home life in Krishna consciousness. It was only when he realized that, this isn't going to work. I'm trying my best, but they're not following. They have no care at all for these principles. Then it was favorable for him to renounce. But first he tried his best, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur also tried his best, and then it actually became very natural for him to renounce, and his family actually was supportive of him in his renunciation, which is what happened in a Krishna conscious family. My hope is that one day Abhiram is encouraging me to renounce family life. That would be very, very auspicious, where he's telling me, Father, it's about that time of your life. I'll handle all of these, material duties, the family, the finance, all these things. You go, you take time now for Krishna. That'd be very auspicious. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he had that support. I mean, he had Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati as his son. He had that support from his relatives, his wives, and but we are, but that's not always the case. Like Srila Prabhupada didn't so much have that support from his relatives, and even So much so that his relatives tried to sue ISKCON, the foundation that he started, and tried to take legal control of ISKCON after Prabhupada passed away, which is a very not ideal thing. I hope Abhiram doesn't do anything like that, one day. But actually, they made a good court case too, and they almost were successful. But actually, it was not a lot of people know this, but it was actually Srila Narayan Maharaj who the devotees recruited to go into court and defend the religious, the actual Vaishnava tradition that this shouldn't be given to any legal owner. This is a religious institution. This isn't like a family business, So he proved it with Vaishnava Shastras, and they won the court case. ISKCON won the court case. Maybe they didn't always react so favorably back, not very gratefully at least, it seems. But that is a history. So anyhow, we should try to perform our duties very intelligently, follow in the footsteps of the acharyas and the devotees, and that's why it's very recommended to hear about the activities of great devotees. Hear about the activities of Maharaj Parikshit. You could see how he composed his dealings. So the Bhagavatam is filled with even more than the Supreme Lord is the activities of the devotees. You hear some of the words of Nrsingadev, but you're mostly hearing the words of Prahlad Maharaj. You hear some of the words of Vishnu, but you're mostly hearing about the words and realizations of Dhruv Maharaj. So it's more actually even about the devotees than the Lord himself. And then there are times when the Lord gives very, very potent instruction, like Bhagavad Gita. But what inspired Bhagavad Gita? It's the questions of the devotees. And what inspired Uddhav Gita, another really potent time where the Lord gives so much comprehensive instruction. It's the questions of the devotee Uddhav. This is the devotees, hearing about the devotees is equally, if not more important than hearing about the Lord himself and his instructions. So, we should always want to hear about this. So let's hear. Yaya katha bhagavata kathaniyoru karmana guna karmashraya pumbi sangsevyasta bubushubi yaha, whatever, yah, and whatsoever, katha, topics, bhagavata, about the personality of Godhead, kathaniya, were to be spoken by me, uru karmanaha, of him who acts wonderfully, guna, transcendental qualities, karma, uncommon deeds, ashraya, involving, pumbi, by persons, sang sevya, ought to be heard, ta, all of them, bubushubi, by those who want their own welfare. Those who are desirous of achieving complete perfection in life must submissively hear all topics that are connected with the transcendental activities and qualities of the personality of Godhead, who acts wonderfully. This is a nice verse, because this is telling us what we really should spend our time doing. If we don't do this, well, I think Mukunda was asking what we really desire, and I think Parth said in class that he's desirous of perfection. Right? Was that what you said? Yes. Yeah, he desired perfection. This is a great desire. You should desire the complete perfection in life. This is a very good desire. And this is ultimately, this is how you do it. You submissively hear all topics connected with the transcendental activities and qualities of the personality of Godhead, who acts wonderfully. But let's hear Prabhupada's realizations. The systematic hearing of the transcendental activities. Also remember, systematically. Not just, I'm going to flip open and I'll hear whatever I want to hear, to whimsically hearing. Systematically hearing. That's why we're going through systematically the Bhagavatam. That's why we go through systematically these teachings. Very important to set the foundation properly. That's why, a lot of times some devotees, they can get very attracted to hearing very high topics, and they want to read about very high topics. But if you look at the foundation that Srila Prabhupada set, he really emphasized the foundation. Why? Because if you don't do the systematic building of the home or the palace, the foundation will crumble and it could all fall apart. But if you systematically build, and with great tact and design, when you understand these foundational teachings, you'll build a very, very strong foundation, and then you'll be able to go very high. Like the tree, do you know what tree grows the highest? What type of tree can grow the highest? What? The tree has the deepest roots. So the tree that has the deepest roots, they can grow the highest. So similarly, if we systematically hear of these activities and we understand at the most basic levels about the Lord and set the foundation, the Sambandha Jnana, then our abhideya, our process of approaching the Lord, can go higher and higher. Only to the degree that we establish very deep roots in Krishna consciousness. So very important. The systematic hearing of the transcendental activities, qualities, and names of Lord Sri Krishna pushes one towards eternal life. Systematic hearing means knowing Him gradually in truth and fact. And this knowing Him in truth and fact means attaining eternal life. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, such transcendental glorified activities of Lord Sri Krishna are the prescribed remedy for counteracting the process of birth, death, old age, and disease. So, these are the main topics that we should hear. It's also not in this verse, but it's called Kathamrita. This is like nectar topics. And it will counteract all types of miseries of birth, death, old age, and disease, which are considered to be material awards for the conditioned living being. So this is our award, suffering in this world. And this is why, the Papa Purush, even on Akadashi, he's coming, and what would otherwise be innocent, even if you're very sattvic, like a lot of the Mayavadis are very sattvic. They know only to follow sattva, but they don't necessarily know the glories of the Lord's day of Hari Vasar, the day in which the Lord should be worshipped in Akadashi. And because they don't do that, they make the grave mistake of eating the grains and beans, and then they actually absorb all sins. And then that's their reward for still being on the material platform. So it's really, Krishna, there's no way out. Even if you can figure out how to be as sattvic as possible, unless you cultivate devotion to the Lord, there is no way out. So this is why we have to, only the devotees have such refined intelligence. So hopefully Abhiram, he's speaking Krishna Katha right now. That's my hopes. But it looks like he's very absorbed in the chair. He has chair consciousness. So I really hope he's a bit more conscious than that as he grows. But anyhow, the culmination, what?
He's just like playing with his voice.
Hey! The culmination of such a perfectional stage of life. Oh, you guys can see good. The culmination of such a perfectional stage of life is the goal of human life and the attainment of transcendental bliss. So this is, reaching perfection, this is actually the proper desire of human life. So Partha is very intelligent when Mukunda asked you what you desired and you said perfection. That's very good. Because this is the goal of human life, and this is how we attain transcendental bliss. This is how we can really be the fullest aspect of ourselves. Experiencing the most bliss is ultimately reaching perfection. How do you do it? The systematic hearing of the topics relating the Lord and His devotees. So the now Sutta Goswami is glorifying the sages for their questions and what they wanted to hear, and so he'll actually continue to speak on it. So now, Rishaya Uchu Sutta Jiva Samasomya Shashvatir Vishadang Yashaha Yashtvang Shang Sasi Krishnasya Martyanam Amritang Hinaha Rishaya Uchu. The good sages said, Sutta, O Sutta Goswami, Jiva, we wish you life for. Sama, many years. Somya, grave. Shashvati, eternal. Vishadam, particularly. Yasha, in fame. Yatvam, because you. Shang Sasi, speaking nicely. Krishnasya, of Lord Sri Krishna. Martyanam, of those who die. Amritam, eternity of life. He, certainly, Naha, our. The good sages said, O grave Sutta Goswami, may you live many years and have eternal fame, for you are speaking very nicely about the activities of Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead. This is just like nectar for mortal beings like us. Purport. When we hear about the transcendental qualities and activities of the personality of Godhead, we may always remember what has been spoken by the Lord himself in the Bhagavad Gita 4:9. Let's see. Yes. Janma karma jame divyam evam yuveti tatvataha tyaktva dehang punarjanma naiti mameti sorjana. So one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not upon leaving the body take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode. So just by knowing of the Lord's transcendental activities, you never have to deal with this material miserable situation again. So let's go back. His acts, even when he acts in human society, are all transcendental, for they are all accentuated. I need to look up accentuated. I think I emphasized, but I don't. I just want to make sure. Make more noticeable or prominent. So yeah, pretty much to emphasize. So accentuate. Emphasize.
His favorite time to talk is during class.
Where does it say emphasize? Oh, there it is. Yeah. So, all right. So, for they are all accentuated by the spiritual energy of the Lord, which is distinguished from his material energy. So, when the Lord acts, he's not at all acting on the platform of material illusion at all. We could see it through the lens of material illusion, and we do. But the Lord himself actually is acting purely from the spiritual energy of pure truth or chit. And so as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, such acts are called divyam, or divine. Divya also has to do with the root can mean to play. The divine play or divine leela of the Lord. That's why divya leela is often name. This means that he does not act or take his birth like an ordinary living being under the custody of material energy, nor in his body material or changeable like that, or is his body material or changeable like that of ordinary living beings. And one who understands this fact, either from the Lord or from authorized sources, is not reborn after leaving the present material body. Such an enlightened soul is admitted into the spiritual realm of the Lord and engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Therefore, the more we hear about the transcendental activities of the Lord, as they are stated in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, the more we can know about his transcendental nature, and thus make definite progress on the path back to Godhead. So, very important, he says, the more we hear. He didn't say the more we read, actually, about it, because there was a question last night, because we were talking about some tat karma pravartana, some things that should be done in the processes of hearing, hearing from sadhus. And one of the Gopikanta, you guys know Gopikanta. So Gopikanta is like, well, that also could mean reading, right? And Prabhupada has said also like that sometimes they can be interchangeable. But there's also an aspect that isn't there in the reading, and so I've told the story many times where Tamal Krishna Goswami, he asked Prabhupada, well, what's the point of the guru if the books are there? You've given everything in the books. And Prabhupada came over and he twisted his ear and he pulled it, and because it's very important, if you hear, the sadhu will hold you accountable. Whereas if you just read, it's only you holding you accountable. And if you're in a conditioned state, you're going to twist and have the tendency of vipralipsa, cheating, the cheating propensity to make it biased towards what you want to do. So it's a lot of times we have our own ideas of what should be done. But we might get very clear instruction from the scriptures. We might get very clear signs from Krishna. Do not do, do not do, do not do. But then, if it's just all us holding ourselves accountable, then all of a sudden we twist it here, this way, that way, and the other way, and then so this is why this is good. Even though Krishna has said many, many times, like, no, definitely not. But because it's not, because it's us holding ourselves accountable, and we're not hearing, truly hearing, then we cheat. But if we do hear about the transcendental activities as they're stated in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, then the more we can know about his transcendental nature and thus make definite progress on the path to Godhead. And we'll know what we should do, what we should not be done, we'll know exactly what to do in the transcendental nature that he's providing for us. And also it's very relishable when you could get lost in these things for hours on end, and you could feel no loss. Like at the end of a long Hari Katha session, if you really were attentive and the speaker was very much enthusiastic and connected himself, then at the end you're just like, wow, time well spent. You're never like, oh my gosh, I wasted all that time in Hari Katha. But some people actually, they might feel that way. Why? Because they're very materially absorbed. And I could have been watching the football game or things. But there's no benefit to this. There's no perfection. So anyway, the conclusion of today is, 1, we should hear about the devotees of the Lord. 2, we should hear about the Lord and how important hearing about the Lord. And actually, by this process of hearing about the Lord, this is the process for complete perfection. So if Parth, you really desired complete perfection, you have to design your life in such a way that you can hear about the Lord from more advanced Vaishnavas. And then the most advanced Vaishnavas that you can find in existence, actually. This is the whole perfection process. Find the most advanced Vaishnavas that you have access to, and do whatever you can to grant yourself access and get the blessings to have access, and then hear from them, and then perfection is coming. This is the process. So now, some of you are trying to coach newer devotees, like you have Katha, you're now interested in coaching Stella. This is how that you can help them. And maybe they don't want to hear from you, because almost certainly you're not going to be some great beacon of inspiration for them. In the dealings between man and woman, it often happens that the woman eventually sees your faults and can't, see, you on some elevated platform. And that's fine, no problem. But how do you help them? Is allow them to hear from advanced Vaishnavas, and not just women, everybody. How do you help anybody? In this circumstance, you guys, the ladies are approaching you guys, and you happen to be devotees, and you happen to be showing them. But if you want to help anybody, whether it be children, whether it be new people you meet on the street, you give them the opportunity to hear from advanced Vaishnavas. And this is how their life can be perfected this way. Your life can be perfected this way. It never stops. Even in the spiritual world, the gopis are all hearing amongst each other and ultimately from Radharani about the glories of Krishna. So they're always hearing and discussing Krishna, and all of his naughty tricks and what he does and his nature. But also, this is even in the spiritual world, this never stops. This process of hearing about the activities of the Lord. And then if it will become so advanced, then Krishna will give you access to his inner circle, and you'll get born into Vrindavan. And then you'll always know about the activities and topics of Krishna, because it's going around the village. Everyone's hearing about what Krishna's doing. The good, the bad, the ugly, and this and that. But it's all good, actually. So anyway, this is actually the process. So we should hear about the topics of the Lord, and by systematic hearing, you can build a really good foundational understanding of God. And a foundational understanding of God is built, and from which you can build the other. If you know anything about Rasa Tattva, the foundational rasa is what? Shanta. And what is Shanta?
appreciating but not ready to serve.
Yeah, it's appreciation, but the main thing is actually attachment and consciousness. So that's the foundation, is you have to have some attachment and consciousness to the Lord. So that first thing, they don't do practically anything else except hear about the Lord. So this is actually the foundational. They don't do any practical services, but they like to hear about the Lord. So this is actually the foundational, and this is how you can appreciate, by hearing about the Lord. So if you want to build any foundation and exchange deeper levels of love for the Lord, you have to design your life in such a way to hear about the Lord as much as possible. And yes, YouTube lectures are also good. Online hearing is also good, but it's not nearly as potent as live hearing about the Lord. So if there's an opportunity to hear about the Lord and it's pretty easily accessible and it won't cause too much disturbance in your life, you should try to take that opportunity. So this is why we every day are giving opportunity here for people to hear about the Lord. And I know it's us. We are, and many times you guys are giving the class too. But I know it's us presenting. But we've all heard something, and we can actually, this is nectarian. For a new person who's never heard about Krishna to come and hear Parth speak about the Lord, this is like the nectar to their ears, and same with Madhav or my wife or myself or anybody. If they don't have much access to the Lord, this is the best service that we could give them, is allowing them to hear about the Lord, because this is how they can reach real perfection and have their ultimate bliss and the ultimate benefit out of life. So this is what we do. This is why we're sharing it online. So this is what the Bhagavatam is. The Bhagavatam is that which is spoken on topics of the Lord. That's what the Bhagavatam is. So we want to hear about these things from sadhus. Reading is amazing. I don't want to knock reading. What's the point of reading when hearing? No, reading, personal study is very, very important. And what you hear will help you navigate in your reading. But hearing is the most important. So if you're not taking time to hear, you're very much limiting yourself. But then on top of that, the self-study is very important, because you're not always going to have the opportunity to hear. Hearing is a rarity. Even today, even ourselves here, we only offer it once a day for like an hour, and that's it. No more hearing opportunity for the day, live. And then there's always opportunity on YouTube, but even that's limited. Only there's so many videos that you could watch from someone you're inspired for. And I myself personally keep a good rotation where I keep it going. I can always find something new, good to hear online as well. But still, sometimes when you finish a lecture series, you're like, now what? Now what will I hear? But you can always self-study. You can always go into the books of the acharyas, the commentaries. There's so much that can be done. It'll take your whole life. You'll stay entertained. So keep staying entertained, keep emphasizing it. Today's Ekadashi. Maybe give extra time to it today. If you can. Obviously follow a good practice today. The more you fast, the better today from material activities. That's eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Mating should definitely be stopped on today. Not a good day for mating. But even material work, you should minimize it to as much as possible on Ekadashi. And so, and get as much spiritual benefit today, because Krishna he's giving so much benefit for those who worship him on this day. So do acts of worship, and the simplest thing you can do and most effective for perfection in your worship to him is just hearing about him. So that's our class for today. Thank you for joining. Parth, I know you had some questions. You could ask now if you wanted, but if you'd rather personally, then you can do personal. Personal? Yes, personal it is. So, any question, anything else?
If we're on the level of, if we're approaching Shantaras and trying to, we just had to enter into, let's say, a higher ras, or actually becoming das, like being an actual das, a servant. Do we have to just keep hearing?
Yes. Well, you have to think about what is das. Das is refined Shanta, the foundational ras, now added with the mood of practical service. So if you do want to be a das, you have to, of course, keep hearing. And then if you want to enter into friendship mood, still hearing, the appreciation of Shanta has to be there. If you're not appreciating, you don't have attachment. I did a class on this I felt very fortunate that they gave me Shanta Ras, because if I wanted to know anything about the Ras, I should myself build from the foundation. But the main...
Is that recorded?
No.
Yeah, I was saying that was like one of my favorite classes.
Yes, but it just has to be. It was only for those there, I guess. But anyhow, the Shanta Ras, what colors it, what the foundation is actually attachment to Krishna. You have some consciousness of Krishna. So this is ultimately, how do you get this consciousness of Krishna? You have to hear about Krishna. There's no consciousness of Krishna without hearing. So you can't even reach any deeper level of Krishna consciousness without hearing first. Hearing is what so Bhakti Siddhanta, this is a good question. Bhakti Siddhanta...
There's 3 of you on there.
Yes.
Here.
Wow. No, there's actually infinite
It's a
of
little
me.
trippy.
There's infinite amounts of me on there, because I'm also in the TV behind, but the light can only maybe take 3.
Abhirams freaking
So,
out a little.
But what was I saying now? Because I'm distracted. But hearing, what was I saying? Help me. Bhakti Siddhanta, he gives a lecture explaining what Gaudiya Darshan is. And how do you actually see Krishna? And do you know what the conclusion is from the Bhagavatam and Bhakti Siddhanta's exposition of the Shastra conclusion? It's hearing. Through the lips of the sadhu, you can actually see Krishna, and that's the only way. And it's only...
That's like when you go to Vrindavan, like you can only see Vrindavan, right? From hearing from it.
Yes, this is why sadhu sangha is the most important thing. Unless you're hearing from the sadhu, you'll not be able to make tangible advancement. So you can make some on whatever Aroha Pantha is there. Your own self-elevation also works a little bit. You know, just like if I wanted to learn plumbing by myself, I can make some advancement in learning some plumbing. But if I just watch a plumber do it, or I get personal instructions on plumbing from a teacher, I'll make so much more advancement. So this is the same with bhakti. But if you also want to experience Krishna and actually see Krishna, it will come through the lips of a sadhu, of a high-level sadhu. And so that's why you hear. And if you still have not experienced, then you have to keep hearing. And maybe also you might have to rotate sources of hearing too, because if Krishna has not exposed himself yet, through what you've been hearing, so then maybe you have to also try, I also have to try to continue. Krishna, because now you have the clue. You'll know how Krishna is going, and it'll show up when a really high-level sadhu delivers him through the ear. This is actually what the ear piercing, we talked about this last night, samskara is, they pierce the ears. But the Vaishnava piercing of the ear is the hearing of Harikatha. And by hearing of Harikatha from an elevated sadhu, it'll pierce the material covering of the ear, and you'll actually be able to perceive Krishna transcendentally. But until that happens, we have to keep hearing and keep searching. Who is going to pierce my ear? Who is going to pierce my ear and give me realization of Krishna? And so you keep hearing, and when you find that personality who pierces one's ear, what's that?
Someone's knocking.
Oh, good. So anyway, Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. May we all get our ears.